Nebel. Ich bin auf meinem Berg.
Քաղաքը մառախուղի տակ է, ես իմ սարի վրա եմ, իմ սև այգում։ Սա գերմանական երաժշտական խմբի Nagorno-Karabakh երգի առաջին տունն է։ 2007 թվականին թողարկված հենց այս երգից է առաջին անգամ Լեռնային Ղարաբաղի մասին լսել շվեդ լրագրող Ռասմուս Քանբաքը։
And I heard it as a teenager, and I had this very romantic perspective of Nagorno-Karabakh. So when I started traveling here, I just realized that I need to go to this place. The funny thing is that I actually came to Sweden in October last year, and I sent them an email and said I will come to your concert and you have to play Nagorno-Karabakh, otherwise I'm not coming. After the concert they sent me an email, very happy now.
Ռասմուսն ուսումնասիրում է իրավիճակը Հարավային Կովկասում։ 2020 թվականի Արցախյան պատերազմից հետո գրում է արցախյան հակամարտության մասին։ Հետաքննել է Շվեդիայում Ադրբեջանի վարած խավիարային դիվանագիտությունը։ Հրապարակում է հոդվածներ Blank Spot Media հարթակում, հոդվածներ ունի OCCRP-ում, Euro Observer-ում եւ Insider-ում։
I don't think there's an easy explanation to why I started writing about Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh. It was I was traveling for many years in the Caucasus, and I kept on returning to Nagorno-Karabakh. So this really made me interested in the region.
2023 թվականին լույս է տեսել Rasmusի Ես ամեն օր դանդաղ մեռնում եմ գիրքը։ Այն հետպատերազմական Արցախի մասին է, որը գրել է 2021 թվականին Արցախ իր կատարած ճամփորդությունից հետո։ Առաջին գիրքը շվեդերեն է, երկրորդն անգլերեն է հրատարակվել 2024 թվականին, ավելացված 2023 թվականի ադրբեջանական հարձակման եւ արցախցիների Արցախից տեղահանվելու մասին պատմող գլուխներով։ Շվեդիայի լրագրողներ առանց սահմանների կազմակերպության կողմից Ռասմուսը ստացել է մամուլի ազատության մրցանակ Հարավային Կովկասի եւ Արցախի մասին իր հրապարակումների համար։ Այս տարվա մարտին Երևանում տեղի ունեցավ Ես ամեն օր դանդաղ մեռնում եմ գրքի շնորհանդեսը։ Ռասմուսի հետ մեր հանդիպումը տեղի ունեցավ շնորհանդեսի հաջորդ օրը։
Since I've been traveling here for many years, I knew quite a lot of Artsakh before 2021 when I wrote, this book I slowly every day is from my trip in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2021. So it was really, I knew a lot. I had been writing quite a lot before as well, and this is also why I wrote the book. However, in 2021, I would say there was the situation had changed a lot from previous times when I went there. You know, from going there as a quite easily from the Armenian side, and you get a visa by the border or by the MFA and Stepanakert, and then you come there and suddenly there are Russian peacekeepers. That's a sudden change. But the biggest change was, of course, the traces of war, and you could feel the tension when you were going inside Nagorno-Karabakh. But as soon as you passed Shushi, and you pass the most dramatic checkpoints, let's say, it felt almost like coming back in before the war. But throughout the years, I think I was a bit naive, to be honest. In 2021, I was thinking that, okay, now the war is over, the 44-day war, the Russian presence is here right now, and I was thinking, okay, this is maybe the new normal. This is something that I quite soon realized afterwards that this is not. We could see that Azerbaijan really had a strategy they wanted to get control of the whole region, and they did it in a very organized way, which we could see with the ethnic cleansing in 2023.
Լինելով Արցախում եւ ծանոթ լինելով տարածաշրջանին, Ռասմուսը անում է իր դիտարկումները։ Համեմատում է թե ինչպես է արցախյան կոնֆլիկտը ներկայացվում միջազգային մամուլում եւ թե ինչ է կատարվում իրականում տեղում։
It was different, it's with everything there are different journalists, and I think what's quite specific about this conflict is that there are very few journalists that are knowledgeable about what's going on, and so the most mainstream narrative is the one that you can see in every international media. We have one side accusing the other side of doing war crimes or attacking each other. There were a few journalists that tried to portray it in a little bit different way, and I think that those who had followed the region for a long time, they realized that this is not about two sides just attacking each other, but they realized that this conflict is very complicated. But generally, there was quite little information. I personally, I wrote quite a lot. I interviewed people from Artsakh, from Nagorno-Karabakh. I interviewed people in Azerbaijan on distance. It was COVID times. And really try to portray the war through the voices of the people in some sense. Me personally, as a journalist, I don't see myself as a war journalist. I see myself as a conflict journalist. And that's a whole different thing. So as a war journalist, you go and you portray what's going on in war. You're actually going there to see what kind of war crimes are happening. As a conflict journalist, you try to understand the complexity of the war. You need to do a lot of reading. You need to really have knowledge about this. So it has never been a driving force for me to be at the places when the war happens. This is why it was quite important for me to come after the war, because I knew that all the journalists, all the international media, they were going to leave after the war, immediately after, which they also did. So this is why I decided to go a few months after. I wanted to see what's happening now. What's going on in the region? Where is this heading somewhere? It's maybe not the most efficient way of working that I'm doing, but it's also, you try to understand that this is, to understand a whole conflict, you need to be there before, you need to be there during, you need to be there after the conflicts are happening. And conflicts, they are not, they don't have a starting point that this day the conflict starts and this day the conflict ends. They are ongoing and they can take a very, very long time for the conflicts to end. I try to find all these kind of perspectives, but what we could see is that it's the between 2020 and 2023 period we had. I think we could see big geopolitical changes with the especially when it comes to the relationship with Russia from Armenia. I would pay much more attention to what happened in Azerbaijan. I think that quite many people, they pay a lot of attention to Armenia, but we could see that there was a very dramatic change in Azerbaijan. Like, for example, 2 days before the Ukraine war started, Aliyev and Putin, they were signing this treaty, alliance in Moscow together. And this likely changed a lot in the dynamic. I think that Russia was looking for what they would call a reliable partner. The funny thing is that the EU called Azerbaijan a reliable partner too in the Caucasus. I'm not a political journalist in that sense that I go and I ask one politician for a quote and then I ask the other politician for a quote from the other country. But I think we really need to understand the dynamic of this conflict through the internal politics of Azerbaijan.
2025 թվականի մարտին Ռասմուսը եկել է Երևան ոչ միայն իր գրքի շնորհանդեսին, այլ նաև հանդիպել է արցախցիներին, որոնց պատմությունները տեղ են գտել գրքում, որոնք տեղահանությունից հետո ապրում են Հայաստանում, նոր իրականության մեջ.
I wanted to come back and I wanted to give the book to the people that I interviewed in the book to show that, okay, you're not forgotten. This is one target group for the Artsakhis, I would say. Another target group is, of course, the Armenian community. I think it's important to also keep the people who are working with Caucasus in general as a target group. There would be specialists, there would be think tankers, there would be academics, politicians. The book itself, it's a testimony from what happened in the period from 2020 to 2023, and I think from a foreign journalist point of view, it's quite unique in this sense that we have this whole process that I've been following, and I think that many people that will work with the Caucasus, they will like to read it, of course, yes. The strongest parts of the book are the human stories, I'd say. Some people, they need the human stories to understand a conflict, while some other people, they are only interested in the macro perspective, seeing everything as a chess game. So there are some chess players in the in the book as well. I have some political analysis in it. I try to dig deeper to find explanations to what went wrong, when did it go wrong. One of the people that I've been talking the most about and who's in the book is Martin. I will show a picture. He's here right now. I met him in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2021 in Martuni, and then I met him, which is also mentioned in the book, in 2023 during the ethnic cleansing. At that time, he came out of Nagorno-Karabakh, and we were just walking in Goris and bumped into him. And he invited us immediately to have dinner with him. And this was the first meal after the ethnic cleansing and after the blockade, that a real meal they had. So it was really an honor to meet him back then. I met him again yesterday, or in the weekend during my trip. I think it was very important for me to go to see him and give him the book. It was, of course, an emotional meeting in many ways. I could see that he liked the book, and I think it was very important. You know, I would go to Armenia without the book release and just to give him this book, let's say. All the Artsakh families that I meet now, they are struggling. One thing is the housing situation. I think that all Armenians know about this. It's very expensive. It's difficult to find a permanent house. It's expensive to buy a house. Another thing is the profession, that many people in Artsakh, they work for the government or they work for the military, and then now they need to find new professions, and this is something, it's not an easy process, let's say, and this is something that everybody tells me.
Արցախի մասին իր հրապարակումների համար Ռասմուսին ադրբեջանցիները մեղադրում են որպես հայկական լոբինգ իրականացնող։ Շվեդիայում Ադրբեջանի դեսպանատնից կապ են հաստատել նրա հետ եւ առաջարկել կազմակերպել իր այցը Ադրբեջան։
So I wasn't getting contacted by the Azerbaijani embassy in Sweden, and they said that your journalism needs some more balance. You need to listen to the Azerbaijani side. And the thing is that I had actually planned a trip to Azerbaijan. I was planning on going to Azerbaijan later that year just to get the Azerbaijani perspective. But he said that in order to go to Azerbaijan, you need to sign a letter, which is in the book, basically recognizing the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. And I felt blackmailed in this sense. Either I could go to Azerbaijan and I could sign this letter and I could continue doing the conflict journalism from both the Azerbaijani or the Armenian side, or I could close that door immediately and go and write about carrot diplomacy, do scrutiny on Azerbaijan and the methods. And this is what I spoke about before. I chose the second, of course, you know, because of the integrity of the journalist, but also because I felt like there's a different story. If I choose to go to Azerbaijan, I will not be able to do the scrutiny of Azerbaijan, these investigations that I felt was necessary to understand the conflict. I would say that I'm not blacklisted in Azerbaijan because I went to Nagorno-Karabakh. I would say that I'm really blacklisted to Azerbaijan because I made the scrutiny of the Azerbaijani methods of this conflict. And it's been quite tough, to say the least. The latest escalation is that Azerbaijani media, they portray me as some sort of a gang criminal, the leader of a gang. There was one person, a diplomat, an Azerbaijani diplomat in Egypt, that was arrested for treason in Azerbaijan, and one of the main things that they wrote about in media was that he had connections with me. I have never spoken to the guy. So I think they are trying to find ways to silence me in this sense.
2021 թվականին Ռասմուսը Արցախում ճամփորդելիս ունեցել է երկու ուղեկից՝ Արեգ Բալայանը եւ Նվարդ Մելքոնյանը։ Գրքում պատկերված լուսանկարների հեղինակը Արեգն է, որը գրքի հեղինակի արցախյան ճամփորդության ընթացքում օգնել է նաեւ հավաքել արցախցիների պատմությունները։ Այդ ընթացքում Նվարդը օգնել է որպես թարգմանիչ։ Նրանց պատմությունները նույնպես կան գրքում։
I have a few heroes in the book, and two of the heroes, they are I say in the beginning, it's Nivard Melkonyan. She was helping me with interpretation and on the ground, a fixer, as we call it in the journalistic world. And the other one is Arek Balayan. He's a photographer who was grown up in Stepanakert, who took the pictures of this book. And for him, he had been in the war period for 44 days. And when I met him in March 2021, when in Stepanakert, it was quite clear that he had a lot of trauma that he needed to go through. And so I portray his journey in the book as well. And at one point when we were finished with the trip and we were sitting down and we had just had a very heavy meeting, let's say, he was saying, I die slowly every day. But the thing is that he didn't die slowly every day in the end, because he got a child just 1.5 years later. So somehow what we understand from these conflicts is that there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of catastrophe, but Armenians, especially after surviving genocide, they have also survived some wars, and we can see that it's going on, the survival.